Good afternoon. This is Rudy Giuliani, and you are probably from Detroit, Michigan. And right behind me is the bridge that leads to Canada, right?
No.
Oh, to the Upper Peninsula. Okay. The Mackinac Bridge. Okay. Well, Ted is an expert. He knows such things.
It's one of the largest bridges in the world.
So Biden is still in Normandy, embarrassing us. Uh, we covered yesterday the absolute sacrilege of not really dealing with in any way the wonderful and beautiful contribution of the people that were there, and instead using it as an attempt to sell his Ukraine story of wanting, and unfortunately, when you boil it down, given his background, which you can't ignore, of bribery, uh, there doesn't seem any point to what he's doing in the Ukraine. He's given them over $100 billion, recently 60 of it, right? And there's no a plan for victory. There's not a person in the world that thinks that Ukraine is going to drive Russia out of Ukraine. So this looks like a war without end. Amen. Typical, is what Lyndon Johnson gave us, right? Very typical left wing Democrat, unrealistic, can't make a decision. Here he wants to fight against Russia, show how tough he is, and then he starts to pee in his pants when Putin yells at him. So he wants to make sure that Zelensky doesn't really annoy Putin. Like, okay, for the longest time they couldn't even shoot into Russia. Now, because they're shooting, oh gosh, about 40 miles from Kharkiv in Russia, he's allowing some of the less effective weapons, or more benign weapons, let's say, can be used, and they can shoot a couple miles into Russia, which of course isn't going to do anything because the Russians just move back a little. He doesn't want to do any damage to Russia, which is also why he keeps buying oil from them, getting them money. Very, very similar to what he's doing with Israel, except Israel's even worse. He's basically funding the other side and doing everything he can to get Israel not to win. Stop. You're winning. Don't go any further. You might actually achieve your objective of wiping out Hamas. I mean, Biden wouldn't know how to achieve an objective. Now, exactly who is influencing him? Why does he act like someone who doesn't seem to have anything close to the best interest of the United States in mind? I don't know. He also didn't shake hands with any of the veterans. I cannot believe that an American president would go there and not want to shake hands with these 100-year-old men who are some of the greatest heroes in American history. But do you think he feels that? Do you? Or is he thinking about is Hunter going to get out so that it doesn't get any more complicated and Hunter really gets prosecuted for what Hunter really did, which is be the bagman for about $50 million in bribes to him all throughout his career. I mean, Joe Biden's career is such a disgrace that any mention of him should be taken out of anything, the Senate, the presidency. We should make believe he wasn't president because we made a terrible, terrible mistake. And we should mention that during the course of this, a veteran, Robert Persichetti of Fairport, New York, died on the trip. He died in a hospital in Germany. He had a heart condition anyway. He was a 102-year-old veteran of D-Day. And he was on a ship sailing down the coast to Normandy right before Thursday. And he fell ill. He was taken to the hospital, and he passed away. So, and he was listening. It's reported that he was listening to his favorite singer. Who do you think that was? Frank Sinatra. And his companion, Al DiCarlo, told 13 WHAM TV that. So God bless him, and God bless you, Robert, for your remarkable contribution to this country on D-Day, and thank you very, very much for going. And I think maybe you would find that a beautiful way to end your life. I hope. Sounds like you died in peace. Yesterday we played this very strange, awkward thing with Biden where he just like bent over for no reason. Looked like he had maybe some terrible pain, or maybe he was once again, as he did with the Pope, remember? Definitely, it was a source of some embarrassment because the first stepmother went like this, like somebody giving a signal in baseball. You don't want somebody to see, you know. It turns out that probably he thought there was a chair behind him, which is really another massive indication of his delusional state, because there wasn't a chair within 10 feet. I mean, it wasn't as if he was missing the chair by a little. Can we play that, Ted? I want to take a look at the surrounding situation and see. Now she flew back to Delaware to be at the trial, and so I don't know what kind of problems he had this morning. But go ahead, let's look at this.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
That looks like a chair, although usually you put your hands back to feel for the chair, wouldn't you? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, there's no brain there. Imagine people watching that, and now they in the way that the media covers up for them, they took that shot. We don't see the end of that shot. Who knows what the hell else he did? Also, when we come back, this is I would consider this to be, I don't know what you'd even call it. You know, this guy has been a plagiarist all his life. I knew before he got caught for plagiarism in the 1988 campaign, where he was plagiarizing Robert F. Kennedy, John Kennedy, several other people. And then the most egregious of all was the Prime Minister of England, Kinnock, who he was plagiarizing not only his speech, but his life. In other words, he was making up lies about his life. My family were in coal mines for 5 generations. Nobody's ever graduated from college. We were starving. None of this being true. This is Kinnock's life. He's using. And then it turned out he was basically completely repeating Robert F. Kennedy's speeches, and they caught him and they threw him out of the Democratic process for president. And people like Sam Donaldson and other left-wing reporters said he's finished. He displayed the character of being an entirely dishonest, dishonorable man. Boy, they should have paid attention to that, huh? But somehow we don't have reporters like that anymore, because he's gone a lot further than just plagiarizing. The guy's taken money from our enemies. The guy's sold out our country. The guy's gotten people killed that wouldn't die had he not been president. But I don't believe, Ted, where did we get this?
Clay Travis.
So this is Clay Travis.
Clay Travis, and I'm working on uploading it now.
He's a radio show.
Yeah, but he posted it on, you're talking about the clip of him. Yeah, he posted it on his X account.
Okay.
He posted it, and we're uploading it now. It's just going to take a few minutes. and maybe outside the break.
We'll take a short break, and I'm debating whether to play it because we haven't really verified it. I don't know.
Yeah, let's spend some time to see if we can verify it first.
Otherwise, we'll play it tonight.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be right back, and of course, we'll bring you up to date on the Biden son. We'll be right back.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
We could put something else. Well, this is Rudy Giuliani. We're back. We're talking about our background. This is something we put together at the last minute. I hope you like it. That's the Mackinac Bridge and Upper Peninsula, which is quite a.
We got to get the mayor
place.
up there.
I've been there several times.
Oh, you have.
I've been there twice actually. One time I came back on a boat with Ron Paul when I was running against him, and about half my supporters and half Ron Paul supporters, and it was. So actually, they were okay. They just got.
So you went from Mackinac Island.
Yeah.
Now, did you go to St. Ignace or Mackinac City? Do you remember?
I think I went to both.
Okay.
I know I went to Mackinac Island.
That's the island. Us Yoopers, we don't necessarily consider that as a visit to the UP yet.
Oh, well,
Mackinac Island is between the two. What says Stephen?
I think it's not the U. It's definitely not.
Oh, looks like I have to get there. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever been then to the UP.
Well,
get up to Houghton.
Mackinac Island twice.
Well,
Grant.
But get up to Houghton. It's a short 9-hour drive from where we are right now outside of Detroit.
I think the second time I was there, it took me 9 hours to get back because there was a storm and every airport was closed, and
you had to drive from.
Yeah, I drove all the way down south of Detroit.
That's a good 4.5-5 hour drive.
Well, so it's unbelievable. The Democrats, you know how a team has a bench and a good baseball. The Yankees have a terrific bench this year. They're tied for the best record in baseball with the Phillies. The Democrats have a terrible bench for president, as we can see. I mean, all they got is a demented old man who doesn't know whether there's a chair behind him or not. But they have a great bench for miserable, sniveling, dishonest liars who will make up anything in order to seek favor or get attention. The guy that really was the best at that, or was the worst at that, was, I don't know if we would say, what's that? Not Falwell. Swalwell.
Eric Swalwell.
Or the Swalwell. Oh, the
real genius, that one.
With the Chinese spy mistress, right?
Yeah, that one.
Uh-huh. And also, of course, Shifty Schiff.
Shifty Schiff. You ever see that guy's neck?
I've got right here all of the people that direct evidence against Trump. You can still turn it in, creep. Well, taking over for him, or trying to take over for him, is a rookie named Dan Goldman, a very rich kid, doesn't have to worry about money. His old man's got the money, put up the money for the campaign. He's in a very safe district in brainwashed New York, and he's really, I guess he's a trust fund brat. But he accused me of a charge that actually has been resolved definitively, even to the satisfaction of the Washington Post and the New York Times, which is that the claim that somehow the hard drive was the product of Russian disinformation was as bogus as Russian collusion. And not only is there no proof of it, there's proof to the contrary. There's also, if you were smart enough to think about it, very clear proof that I didn't tamper with the computer that they're putting in evidence. I didn't tamper with the hard drive either. I didn't tamper with anything. But let's listen to the liar. Do we have him saying this?
No, we have a.
Oh, it was a tweet. It was a tweet, or yeah. Well, basically, he says that I was colluding with the Russians to get that hard drive. Well, let's look at the testimony of the FBI that sure as heck wasn't on our side, right? I mean, they concealed the hard drive for months and months, all through the election. They let the president get impeached when he shouldn't have been. They let the president lose the election when he shouldn't have. How they could conceal it after Biden made the comments we're going to show you in a minute is criminal. But where this guy comes off saying this, I don't know. Giuliani was colluding with Russian spies. I mean, this is a guy like this shouldn't really be in Congress. This is this is not complicated. The FBI has Hunter Biden's laptop. Giuliani has received a hard drive copy of the laptop, which he turned over only to the New York Post. Here's a couple of problems. First of all, anything being put in evidence, if you think I in some way tampered with it, I never have been near the computer. Computer was taken and hidden by the FBI for a year and a half. It was verified by them immediately. They didn't reveal that it was verified until 26 months later, and left us swinging in the wind when we were claiming that it was valid. They had already determined that it was valid. But all I had was the hard drive. I could change the hard drive to my heart's content. It's not going to change the computer. Doesn't stupid know that? I mean, nothing I could have done to that computer. I didn't have it. I've never had access to the computer, nor has anyone else but the FBI. So if anybody changed that computer, the FBI did it. And at the time, they were doing everything they can to cover up for Biden. So if they changed it, they probably changed it to make it more favorable to him. I mean, this is the time in which they were holding the hard drive, despite the fact that it would have been completely exculpatory of Trump in the impeachment. And it would have made Biden the biggest liar in the history of presidential politics when he accused me and Trump of getting it from the Russians. The FBI had already determined that that wasn't true. They had already verified the computer 50 ways to Sunday. Of course, we did too. This was my business. And I was about the best at it that there was before that little piece of crap was born. And for him to, these people are completely out of control. And they get away with it because of our crooked press. They can just accuse you of anything, no matter how illogical it is. Now let's listen to how Biden, now beyond any doubt, after the testimony of the FBI agent, the computer hard drive has been put in evidence. It's been declared valid, and the FBI agent in Abby One Too Many Questions Lowell, one of his major flubs, which is kind of suggests he's kind of a rookie trial lawyer. He asked one too many questions, and the FBI agent got in that no, nobody's tampered with it. They've checked it over, and nobody's tampered with it. So go take on the FBI, not me. But listen to this president. At the time, he knew there was a computer missing. He knew the FBI had it. He knew it had been validated. And he also knew that they went and got 51 prostitute former intelligence agents to sign a letter saying it had earmarks of Russian collusion when they never even looked at it. They never looked at anything but the paper given to them by Morell, and I guess it all began with that. I mean, with Joe, but in any event, Morell is the guy who circulated it around and testified to it. Nobody looked at it. One guy actually never even read the letter. He just told someone to put his name on the letter. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will watch exactly how this disgrace of a president lied his way to the presidency.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Might be better off. This is Rudy Giuliani back with the Rudy Giuliani Show. So now let's listen to first, we'll go back in time to 4 years ago. I believe it was the last debate between Trump and Biden. And this, now in retrospect, we know that this entire statement was a setup, because he wouldn't be smart enough to set this up. This had to be set up by Brennan or one of these people that thinks for the nitwit. But it was a good setup. Okay, let's play it now.
Race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody.
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have to
just
respond to that.
Please,
Because look,
very
there
quickly.
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly.
I mean, it's a complete fraud. That is a complete fraud. Number one, he knew for sure that the entire letter was orchestrated and all done in 2 days. None of these prostitutes had a chance to check anything out. They just put their name on it because they'll suck up to Biden even if they sell out America. They are the people, by the way, who are responsible, many of them, for the last 20 years of intelligence. Been really good, huh? Benghazi? Oh, really smart. Or weapons of mass destruction, boys. That was really smart, too. I'll give you about 10 more. I told candidate Trump at one time, if you become president, maybe a good way to do it is get the reports from the CIA and do the opposite. Because I think the American presidents for the last 20 to 30 years would have a better batting average if they do that. I mean, they never seem to be able. They're really good on 9/11 too, right? So these are the people, and they're all game players. The best interest of the United States is down here. They can't even find it. They're getting their keeping their clearance because they're making a fortune on that, getting a great contract, getting back into a bigger spot in government so we get an even bigger contract, and then screwing around with games that they play. I knew the minute the Papadopoulos thing was going on that was that the CIA people that he has who are prostitutes, he'll put that one together. And both he and Obama knew the whole plan of Hillary paying for Russian collusion. So what he said there on national television, just a flat out lie. I mean, a big, big lie. And the polls now, when you go back, there, I mean, probably the narrowest margin is 15% would change their vote. It's been up to 25. And you want to know, why, and why do we spend time on this? We spend time on this because when you elect a man like this, terrible things happen. People want to know, well, how could things have gone so bad? Because we have an evil man in the White House. This man is not just bad, he's evil. I mean, don't you get it from the testimony that's going on in this trial in Delaware? This is not a normal. This is a very, very. This is a family with many strains of perversion. No doubt about it. First of all, they're consumed by greed, which is out of control. They are all involved in pathological narcissism around Joe. Joe is a completely useless creature that needs to be guided around. I mean, I know him since 1981 and would always tell people he's the dumbest guy I've ever met. He's always needed help because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing except get money. And people handle that money for him. And why they don't put in evidence, for example, when Naomi testified that her uncle, her father, texted her that for 30 years he's been giving half his salary to Joe. Doesn't that answer the question, did Joe get money? Answer is yes, or want to get more specific. Is there evidence Joe got money? Yes. It's a text. It's dated 2018, the relevant year that we're talking about. I believe it might even be Christmas Day or the day before Christmas. It's a text from Hunter to the person who testified today. And it says, for 30 years, I've been paying all the expenses of this family. And even with that, I've had to give half of my salary to my father. Now, does that fit all of the evidence that you have? I mean, there are things in a trial, having tried many, where it kind of like all comes together. It all comes like this together. This all comes together, right? What have people been saying from the beginning? When you go back to 2019, when I first put out the allegations that Zlochevsky bribed Joe through Hunter so that they could fix the Burisma case to get Zlochevsky out, to keep his $40 billion stolen company, and to get Hunter and Devin out too. What I said was that no way Zlochevsky is paying Hunter Biden $6 million, $8 million, $12 million, which is what we can document, or the $20 million I've been led to believe is the case if you get into the offshore bank accounts by the honest, who will talk to you behind the scenes, Ukrainian prosecutors. I mean, let's take the low number. Let's take the $8 million. This guy is one of the richest men in Ukraine. He was an oligarch and a member of organized crime. He was a Ukrainian, but he was more loyal to Putin and the Russians. Imagine, with all that stuff about Ukraine, the Bidens took 12 to 20 million from a Ukrainian who was disloyal to Ukraine and was loyal to Russia, with all that pious bull from this idiot yesterday. He's taking money. I mean, one thing to take money from the Ukrainians, the other thing to take money from the Russians, and you got people dying there now over that. I mean, the depth of their evil, I almost have never encountered, maybe with Nazi war criminals and some of the mafia people, different level and different type of thing. But this is like pervasive. I've never seen a politician with this kind of systemic corruption and amorality. I mean, they lie about everything. They lie about everything because almost anything will incriminate them. And, several, and I guess they would never testify, but several policemen in Delaware told Bernie Kerik and I that when we brought the hard drive to the Delaware police because it contained evidence of child pornography. Now, I don't understand why the sister-in-law wasn't questioned about that. There's a whole group of checks there about his being sexually inappropriate and dangerous to the children, which would make his drug addiction not benign. One of the lies that his really unfortunately not very competent lawyer is spinning, I guess fortunately from our point of view, if we want him convicted, one of the lies that they're perpetrating is, he was just a poor drug addict. He was off it now, and you got to feel sorry for him. This is a victimless crime. Like hell, it's a victimless crime. First of all, the guy was driving the automobile with a crack pipe in his mouth. Again, asking one question too many. The DEA agent who Abby one question too many Lowell put his foot in the DEA agent. Basically, he was trying to point out that those pipes could be used for marijuana. They could be used for amphetamines. I mean, they could be used for fentanyl. They could be. I mean, that's all very nice. I mean, great. That's what he used them for. And then he asked one question too many, and the agent said, well, then it isn't clear that it was used for crack cocaine. He said, well, actually it is. You know why? Because it has burn marks on it, and you don't burn the others the way you burn crack cocaine. He said, I've done about 1,000 of these cases. I mean, he gets zapped all the time because he doesn't have discipline. This is a guy I would have fired as an assistant U.S. attorney. I used to lecture on litigation, and I think anybody that knows anything about litigation knows that you're not supposed to ask a question you don't know the answer to, with one exception. And sometime I'll tell you one that was very famous in a debate between Romney and Obama. Ask a question where there's no good answer, where you have him checkmated, not just checkmated. You can't go here. You can't go there. You can't go here. You never want to ask a question where he can go here. That you never ask a question you don't. No matter how sure you are, no matter how good your instincts are, no reason to do it. Well, thanks, Abby. Boy, you've heard me on Abby Lowell before, right? So now let's take a short break, and we will be back, and let's see what else is going on in this censored world that we live in that I can get to you that you won't get anywhere else. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Welcome back to the Rudy Giuliani Show. As you can see from the background, well, you may not know, but that's Detroit, Michigan. And so maybe this is a good time to tell you the good news from the polls. So there was a great deal of concern last week when the verdict came in the case, the total frame up of Donald Trump by the guy who is responsible for a lot of the crime in New York, Mr. Bragg. I mean, imagine he sits there during the entire trial and crime goes up while he's sitting there prosecuting. Well, it's really good though because he cleaned up the whole unbelievable scourge of people entering false or not really false but ambiguous business records. And particularly those who did it, such a long time ago, the statute of limitations is run. All those people now have been sufficiently deterred. So we have no more false business records being entered. But what we do have are people being knifed, stabbed, beaten up on the subway, raped, and felonious assault up 70%. While he sits in court with half his staff, and they're working on a massive election interference conspiracy, and they're one part of it. Fannie the Hoe is another part of it, and Smith, the unscrupulous federal prosecutor who has been designated as such by the Supreme Court, which is the reason why Garland selected him. So he can do the same frame up of Trump that led to the reversal in the Supreme Court. I mean, he gave him a textbook for how I can frame somebody for a crime they didn't commit, and then it'll get reversed. But by the time it gets reversed, the election will be over and nothing you can do about it. Just like the hard drive, right? Just like the hard drive. I could have put on, but I don't even like to look at these people. They're so ugly. All of the left-wing reporters, they all just follow, after Biden said that on the air about how Trump and I were colluding with the Russians, they all came on one after the other. And same, it's like they're given the same set of words. Oh, it has earmarks of Russian collusion. It has earmarks of Russian collusion. Joe Scarborough and Mika Muka and some of the others. What's that guy that used to do Meet the Press that got fired because the ratings went down to below zero? Oh, Chuck.
Little Chuck Todd.
Chuck with the crap on his face.
Little Chuck Todd.
Chuck with Chuck. Did you ever notice his beard? Do you know what that condition was? It was a very serious condition. I had it diagnosed once by a doctor. Whatever few brains he had fell down here. So that was easily his brains coming out because he didn't have any. I mean, he took Meet the Press. It was the #1 show when he got it. When it was finished, reruns of I Love Lucy were beating him. But he was really a jerk. But he was one. Oh, he was big on it. It has earmarks. He didn't have that manly a voice. It was more like he had earmarks of Russian collusion. Had earmarks of Russian collusion. Memo from the Democrat National. Now, you want to know how you can. This is a guy that's been catching liars for decades. I'm going to give you a little hint. So you look at that letter. The moment I saw it, I said, "Oh boy, what a bunch of liars!" I bet they never even looked at it. Not a single example. Not one earmark. And in all of the interviews after by the crooked press, nobody thought to say, well, can you give me an example or two? You know what the answer would have been? They'd have changed the subject like Biden. There are no examples of Russian collusion. It's not written in Russian. It doesn't come from Russia. The guy who has it is willing to testify about it. You can check all those messages. There actually are people you can go to that he communicated with on the computer, and then eventually it's on the hard drive, and you can then verify. You can then verify those communications to make sure they're valid. Not everybody is a miserable liar like the people associated closely with the Bidens. That hard drive was verified more than anything I know of in the history of American law enforcement. Before we knew that the FBI verified it at the very beginning, all of it being unnecessary. In fact, there's a good possibility based on FOIA receipts that John Solomon and maybe Tom Fitton too, I don't remember, got, that they were alerted to the fact that we had the hard drive, that Bannon and I had the hard drive. And they started going to warn people that there were going to be these disclosures about Hunter. So at that time, they were in cover-up mode, the Bureau was. They were covering up the hard drive. That's why it is so refreshing. There's a certain sense of vindication that they're the ones now forced to validate it. And it's the first break between the Biden state police, which the FBI became, and Biden. And it really got forced by this judge refusing to take the plea. The judge said, I'm not gonna rubber stamp a corrupt deal. No way. It's too important to the country. There are some honest people, huh? So the jury was sent home early today, and I don't know what's left. I think his other bag man testifies tomorrow, James. Now, James got a real history as a bag man. James was a bag man back when they were trailer trash. I mean, they were picking up whatever they could get, shaking down, people. And James, I think it was James once gave a big lecture telling people how they were going to use Joe and Joe's influence. They should get more money for it. And Bo Biden came down and corrected him and said, never talk that way. There's a whole situation that goes way back when James was much more active before Bo took over as bagman in chief. And what a way to use your addicted son. This guy, according to the testimony now and the book, we can probably take it back to his teenage years that he had an addiction-prone personality, right? Might have something to do with the tragedy. Might have something to do with the comparison between him and the older brother. It's clear the older brother was the star of the family, and Hunter was, let's say, not the star of the family. But in any event, as a father who had any form of love or empathy, this is the last guy you would put in business with some of the worst criminals in the world. Zlochevsky is a member of organized crime. There's any doubt about it. He was his employer, and the financial firm they set up ended up having as partners the following two: Whitey Bulger's nephew. You take an addicted son and you stick him in with Whitey Bulger's nephew? Oh, and the other partner was Red China. You stick him in with Red China. You let him do business with Budarina, the richest woman in Moscow, who got that way probably by double-crossing her husband, one of Putin's favorites. The one that you still, Joe, don't sanction. God, there's so much evidence. What is wrong with us? What's wrong with our country? What's wrong with these MSNBC and CNN people who lie every night? Because the evidence, one thing I know is evidence, and the evidence is, I've never seen that as much evidence against a person who's not convicted. I'll be back with, among other things, the mayor's final thoughts, sponsored by Tunnel to Towers. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders. So you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. This is Rudy Giuliani, back with the Rudy Giuliani Show. And the other point that came out that just startles me and gives you a sense of the depth of perversion we're dealing with here is, according to this article, although Joe Biden, after years of disowning her, now has acknowledged that Navy Biden is his granddaughter, but he's never met her. Tell me he's not a sick man. I mean, a seriously perverted, evil man. Why would you want to hurt that little kid like that? The stepmother-in-chief, who's going back and forth because she doesn't want to miss the party tonight in France, when she put out the Christmas stockings, didn't put out a Christmas stocking for Navy. It was all over the papers. So this kid will be reading that for the rest of her life. And finally, when they finally were forced to acknowledge her with some kind of a statement written by, I don't know, KJP or Little Red Lying Hood or one of them, whoever was with him at the time, when they did that, this Christmas, she didn't put up any stockings at all. No way they're going to put up Navy. But how could you not want to see your granddaughter? What kind of a perverted piece of crap are you? Well, you're the guy who almost fell on his ass yesterday looking for a chair, right? Well, I was looking for those polls, and somehow I can't find them, but I remember them. So here's what it's like. First thing of importance to me is that if you take it from a 2-way race to a 5-way race in these different states, Trump either remains the same or gains about 3 points. So the concept of, so we can't tell about Kennedy or the other two, but the group of third-party candidates is hurting Biden right now more than Trump. And I think that just gets better as they learn the full positions of Robert Kennedy Jr. I mean, part of the reason why he was taking from Trump more than from Biden is they thought of him as a conservative. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a lot of things, but he's not a conservative. And he would not be an acceptable alternative to Trump for people who are Trump voters once they know the whole picture. If they just look at vaccine, of course, they love him. And if they even look at corruption in government, they love him because he's willing to say that Biden is a lot more unable to be president than Trump. In fact, he thinks Trump is, wrong, but not able to function. And if anything, he's a vital guy, as are a lot of people Biden's age. Biden has, as I said, Biden was too stupid to be president when Sam Donaldson told you that in 1988. and too dishonest, which is what actually Donaldson said. He said his character will bar him from being president. What a prediction. And what damage he's done. What damage he's done. So Trump leads here by 4, I think. Leads in Michigan by 4. And if you, in the poll that came out yesterday, and if you, and then he's tied in Virginia, which is phenomenal. He's got about a 7 or 8 point lead in Nevada now. It's back up to that. He's also leading in Wisconsin by a small number that goes up when you put the 3-party candidates in. And there was one other state. But each state, his lead is starting to go back to where it was before the trial. It never, like there were some polls where he went down to 1%. Those have now gone back up to 3-4%. And increasingly, when you put the third-party candidates in, he gains and Biden loses, which may actually underscore the reason why they're being so tough on RFK Jr., to the point of really irresponsible. Not giving the guy protection is unthinkable. Unthinkable. I mean, just the history of the family and the number of nuts there are in this country, and the fact that he's a controversial figure. He gets a lot of people angry, as Biden does, as Trump does. In American politics, it's almost impossible to take a position and not have people that want to kill you. And he has had threats. I mean, he fits all the criteria. I mean, I know about this. I used to be involved in it, both getting the protection and giving it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. And the family goes ahead and endorses him. They endorse Biden, who's putting their brother or cousin's life at risk. Jesus, people sell out pretty cheap for politics, don't they? I mean, it's just unthinkable that he would do that. Now, migrants are committing crimes all over this country, and they're being hidden. The president focused on one, and that is that's the guy that attacked the two police officers and shot them. He also now, it turns out, was involved in beating up another person, a woman, an older woman, and here, well, I don't. They actually have a picture of him dragging the woman along the street. This is Castro Meda. He's a Venezuelan. He came into the country and without batting an eyelash, he was beating the hell out of people, stealing from them, and joining the moped mob and stealing periodically, just riding through the streets and grabbing people's cell phones. Now, you want the good news? The good news is that Biden has let in a disproportionate number of Venezuelans and Chinese, because even if you don't have a good asylum claim, if the country won't take you back, he doesn't send you out. Well, China won't take anybody back, and Venezuela won't take anybody back. So we've got like untold hundreds of thousands here from Venezuela who seem to be leading the list of people causing crimes in this country. The death of Laken Riley, the police officer shot, the woman that was dragged through the streets, maybe 3 or 4 others in New York, the police officers who were beaten up by 6 Venezuelans, of which 4 were let out immediately by a left-wing Democrat judge in the corrupt New York City court system. Venezuelans seem, I mean, I'm just got nothing against Venezuelans other than I see their name there disproportionately. I also see that he's disproportionately let them into the United States. How about disproportionately letting Chinese into the United States? Now, you're not smart enough to figure out that some of that's going to be for spying? Sure, I'm sure some of it is people wanted to get out of a country that's killed more of its own people than anyone else. But the Chinese, you open the door to the Chinese and they're going to send, even when the door wasn't open, they were sending spies here. They had a police force in Manhattan that they had to bang Adams over the head to do something about. They had a police force. You know what the police force does? It goes up to Chinese, even expat Chinese, and if they say something bad about China, they threaten them. They threaten their families. They keep discipline. So you got to know they're coming in, and then you take the questions and bring them down to four questions. And you're telling me that's not the result of bribery? On one side, I got 31 million coming to his crooked Biden crime family, and on the other side, I have 4 questions that are asked during vetting. That's it, 4 questions, because they didn't want to be delayed. That's been going on over a year now. They're all among you. Well, a final thought is all of this has to remind you that this election is really critical. And the point that President Trump made the other day, in which he was basically, they said he changed his position. Well, he did, but he changed it because of the facts, as I have, which is make sure you vote as early as possible. There's nothing, no one's telling you to do what they do. No phony voting, none of the stuff Democrats have been doing for 150 years. They did it to me, they did it to him, they did it to a lot of people. And they do it even when they don't have to do it for practice. But nothing wrong with voting early. Nothing wrong with getting your friends out to vote early. If you got some time, drive 4 or 5 of them for early voting. Your way of life has been taken away from you. We can go into all of them if you want, what they're doing to our children, how they're making our children the property of the state, just like Karl Marx told them to do. You see this debate over whether males who dress up in dresses can participate in female sports, which is causing injuries, it's causing trauma, it's causing tremendous confusion, and it's making the mental illness attached to all that much, much worse. And it's increasing the suicides. But they don't give a damn because it's achieving what Karl Marx told them to achieve, which is to completely destroy the social norms that underscored and supported Western civilization, the biggest danger to atheistic communism. So don't forget, $11, Tunnel to Towers, T2T.org. And you'll be taking care of our police officers, our firefighters, and our soldiers, sailors who get injured in the line of duty or, God forbid, lose their lives. Tunnel to Towers is there with a check to pay off the mortgage on the home, with the ability to build smart homes if necessary, and has taken on the mission of trying to end veteran homelessness, where in a place like my city, the Biden invitees and the Adams tenants, those are the illegal migrants, and many of them are being Venezuelan who commit crime, they are treated better than our veterans and our own homeless people. Got to stop, got to end. And one way you can help the ones that really need help, send that $11 into T2T.org. Thank you. God bless the people of Israel. God bless all of those people who participated in D-Day, who we got to see, and the president didn't shake their hands, but in one way or another, all of America shakes their hand. And all of us that love America, of course, will shake your hand. And God bless America.